and welcome to Real Talk on Real Estate. So the year started off crazy with the wildfires in California and everything that's happened since the beginning of the year. Look, I want to go over today with you guys what's happening in California, what needs to be done, what type of opportunities exist, how to take advantage of those opportunities, and how you as an individual can take advantage of whatever's happening in California. Now, how are you taking advantage of what's happening in California? We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But let's talk about these wildfires, and let's talk about Governor Newsom and what is going to be done in California. Does this open up a massive housing crisis in California? For those that are affected, absolutely. For investors, not so fast. I want to go over a little bit about who is affected, how they were affected, the areas that were affected, how to position yourself for opportunity, but how, more importantly, to take care of the people that were affected by these wildfires in California. This was an unfortunate circumstance, and I want to share with you guys a little bit of insight on what's going to happen. Now, there's a lot of stuff that's going on and a lot of hearsay that this was a planned fire and they're going to build a smart city out of LA. And is that true? I have no idea. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't care. Some people are saying that Governor Gavin Newsom's an idiot. Some people are saying that he's amazing, right? I'm not going to talk politics. I'm just going to talk about the reality of what's happening right now, the pros, the cons, and everything that is happening in California. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in the nation, okay? Everybody knows about this, and everybody has a peak of interest and curiosity of what's going on. But let's talk about the reality of this, and let's talk about the basics of what was affected, who was affected, and how this is going to play a role for investors, how it's going to play a role for the real estate market, who's affected, and how it's going to affect and reshape the areas that were affected in the state of California. Okay, now, here's what we know about what happened with the wildfires thus far, okay? Now, there was over 300,000 evacuations. Of those 300 evacuations, over 15,000 structures were demolished in this fire. That has everything to do with from residential structures, that has all the commercial structures, retail centers, apartment complexes, you name it. 15,000 plus structures were affected. Of those 15,000 plus structures that were affected, about 12,500 of those structures were residential dwelling units, okay? Now, the vast majority of these structures were in the Pacific Palisades area, which was a very affluent area. The average median home in these areas ranged from $3 million to $9 million. And there was a lot bigger homes in those areas that ranged in excess of $20 million, but the vast majority between $3 million and $9 million. So a very affluent area in the Pacific Palisades. Now, a lot of these people, and there's a lot of hearsay going on about what's happening with insurance companies. And let me explain insurance to you guys really quick, because 17,000 policies were canceled, but that doesn't mean that 17,000 policies that were actually the mortgage. Now, approximately 17,000 policies were actually canceled, but that's not like insurance policies that were just canceled and they just have no insurance at all. There's different types of riders on these policies. So when you write these policies, guys, they went in and removed the fire clause on 17,000 policies, okay? So they still have homeowners insurance. It isn't that like homeowners insurance is just gone and just evaporated and they're gone. So how these people are taken care of is gonna be extremely different depending on the circumstance of how their insurance was affected. Now, of these homeowners, of over 12,500 of them that were affected by this, there was 40% of them, guys, 40% of these homeowners had mortgages on their properties. So when I went in, I thought that about maybe 80% of these people had mortgages on them. So contrary to what I thought, only 40% do, but that's still a big number because that's over 7,000 homeowners that went in and still have mortgages on their property. Now here's what's gonna happen to these people, okay? Because now these people are forced to make payments on these structures that they don't have any structure there anymore, right? There's no home to live in. And they're still paying property taxes, which are gonna have to be disputed. And there's law firms and there's property tax negotiating firms that go out there and they actually dispute your property taxes every year. Now, the problem is that you still have to pay the second half of your 2024 taxes, which are coming due in April, which sucks for those homeowners because you don't want to be delinquent on those taxes. And because it was a 2024 assessment, you still have to pay the 2024 taxes because the dwelling was still there in 2024. And the first payment was due on December 10th. The second payment is going to be due on April the 15th. And I'll tell you guys that that's going to be a real hard payment for these people to make that don't have mortgages on their property but still have to make those. And for the people that do have mortgages on their properties and they're still biting off that mortgage every month, they're still gonna have to make that property tax payment. Now, how are these municipalities going to assess these taxes? Okay, now before we go into that, let's talk about the municipalities that are affected, okay? And I wanna talk real quick before I actually go in to how this is gonna go down for homeowners. I wanna talk a little bit about how to take advantage of opportunities. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I'm doing to take advantage of these opportunities. Now, I've talked to a lot of my colleagues, a lot of my friends, and we all have we are all on the same consensus of how we're gonna take care of profiting from these properties, okay? Now, here's how we're gonna take care of profiting from these properties, okay? We're gonna do zero to profit from them, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna help these people. You get more from giving than you do from taking, ladies and gentlemen. Right now in California, people are getting annihilated. I can sit here and I'm gonna train you guys on what the sequence of events is. But what I want to train people on more so than anything right now is how to help these people. Now, there's two executive orders that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about it. This affects the entire state of California, okay? Now, Gavin Newsom, as a governor, but let me tell you two good things that he actually did here in the last week, and one of them just today. Okay, so there was an executive order. Let me go over these executive orders with you. The first executive order that was put into effect about 5 days ago was Executive Order N-4-25. You need to know that, okay? And this executive order it removes the red tape of permitting. So everybody knows that in California, it's a shit show. It's extremely hard. It's extremely difficult to go in and get permits in the state of California. It doesn't matter what municipality you're in. It's extremely complicated. So these homeowners, I was sitting back going, holy shit, this is a 3-year fix, okay? And just a few days ago, I recorded a video less than 7 days ago. And right after I recorded that video, this executive order came out and I was like, thank God, because I thought it was going to take like 3 years to rebuild California. So the N-4-25 executive order removes the red tape from permitting. So the permitting process is going to go down to about 1/10 of the review time that it normally would take to review and go through the permitting process. The rebuild efforts that are going to be taking place in all the municipalities, and let's talk about these municipalities real quick before we finish the executive order. So it's the Pacific Palisades, guys, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how we're going to help them, what we're going to do to take advantage of helping these people, guys, that are out there, and how it's going to benefit not only you, but everybody long term, okay? Very important. So the Pacific Palisades, the Altadena area, the San Fernando area, the Topanga, Auto Fires, Ventura County, Santa Clarita, Malibu, Beverly Hills was affected by the nearby fires, Glendale, Pasadena, Burbank, West Hills, Woodland Hill, Hidden Hills, Semi Valley, Sylmar, Granada Hills, Woodley Park, Fontana, San Bernardino, Paris, Riverside, Temecula, Jefferson Fire, specifically the Mission Fire in Seatree, and Oceanside Fire. So Malibu, all these areas. So Los Angeles County, Ventura County, Riverside County, San Diego County, San Bernardino County. Now, why is that important, guys? Why is that important? Because you guys are going to help me. And I'm doing an outreach to everybody. And here's what's going to happen in my office. Now, if you were affected by these fires and you're in any one of these areas and you're in California, I want you guys to contact my office, okay? We're going to help you guys work through the N-4-25 executive order to help you guys get permits in my office, okay? So you guys can contact Esther or Tammy. You can email info@jeromemaldonado.com. My name, the way you spell it, is in the cliff notes. You guys have to email my office if you were in any one of those municipalities and you personally were affected by these fires and you want to take advantage of exercising the executive order N-4-25 and need help on what the process is. Guys, we teach this process. This is what we do every single day. We teach this process to students to go out and generate six-figure profits, buying land and building houses. We're gonna help these people in every single one of these counties. Our office is gonna take under their wings the ability to go in and help these people expedite their permits to rebuild their properties, guys. And it's gonna be free. We're gonna do this for you for free. If you're in any of these areas, I need you to email my office. I need you to email either Esther or Tammy, and we will help you get permits, okay? Now, the other thing that's incredible that it's part of this executive order is that typically during fire damage, the state of California typically regulates that they themselves have to do the demolition and cleanup of all fire, all homes, all businesses, all fire-affected properties. They themselves have to do the demo. In this executive order, they're allowing homeowners to take under their own ownership and guidance of doing the demo and cleanup themselves, which means you can hire a third-party contractor and you can go in and start your demo and your cleanup all by yourself, and you can make it happen immediately. So it's incredible because now the red tape has been lifted. It's going to take about 1/10 the time to go in and get permits in all of these, in any one of these cities, in any one of these counties that have been affected by the wildfires, which is incredible. Now, we can also go in now and we can scrape, blade, and clean these house pads and these sites so that people can start the rebuild efforts sooner than later. And so we don't have to wait for the state of California anymore. Now, okay? Now, the other executive order that was just put into place today was the N-7-25 executive order, okay? Now, investors, listen up, because if you thought you were gonna go into California and start buying, which I thought they were gonna do, and we were gonna make a business model behind how to go and help these people, but how to rebuild dense housing and create and recreate some of the assets in there, we said no more, we're not gonna do this. And it was, ironically enough, about 48 hours after we said we're going to do nothing to profit from it, we're going to give back to California, we're going to veto any type of profit taking from these areas in California, we're going to go help these people, this executive order came out and I said, perfect. So executive order N-7-25, it restricts investors to go in and solicit to sellers, to solicit the ability to buy these assets from homeowners that were affected. There's a lot of emotions going through right now. And the first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be a collective effort for these folks to figure out exactly what and how they're gonna do this. Now, you guys are gonna see us on the streets of LA. You're gonna see us in all these municipalities. We're gonna be out there this week. We're gonna be interviewing some of the folks that have been affected by the actual fires and what they're doing and what their outreach is. Our office is gonna go, when I go out there, we're gonna be talking to these folks, and the biggest thing is most of them are gonna be lost. They don't know what they don't know. Some of these people have been in these houses for in excess of 40, 50 years. Some of these people have been in these houses for a short period of time, but know nothing about the process of getting permits, doing rebuilds, getting architects, and soliciting this stuff. And for you guys that are in California that are affected by this, I want you to understand one thing. Architects outside of California are able to work and facilitate business on the architecture and the rebuild process of California. They just have to have the CAD systems that comply with the California codes. Now, here's the bad part of it is that everything's gonna have to comply with the new energy codes. It's gonna have to get all the energy credits. There's gonna be a lot of solar stuff. There's a lot involved in this process, but we're gonna help streamline that for people. And so we have architects all over the country, and to our benefit, because we have tons of people in our community. We have over 1 million followers across all platforms, and because we have over 1,800 people that are part of our inner circle and our community, we're gonna take these people as volunteers to go in and help you guys. We go in and our community is going to do an outreach. Now, the architects and the people in other states, in New Mexico, Arizona, in Utah, in Idaho, we're going to have architects in Nevada. We're going to have architects in Texas. In fact, I'm in Texas in Irving right now. Tomorrow morning, I'm doing a meetup for over 400 people. We should have 200 of them live and 200 of them virtual tomorrow. And I'll tell you guys that our biggest outreach is going to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're helping California. We're going to be talking about this tomorrow in Irvine, California. We're going to talk about the outreach efforts and the architects that we're going to onboard to help these people out. Now, if you guys have any type of resources to be able to come in and help these people through architecture, engineers, and we can help streamline the process, it's going to be a little bit of a lift for everybody to do. My office can handle a good majority of it, but I'll tell you guys that we will take any type of volunteers and help that are out there, and you're going to benefit from it as well. Now, what's going to land up happening is there's going to be a trickle effect in the market, okay? And for those people with this trickle effect in the market, there's going to be some people to just throw their hands up. Because of the executive order N-7-25, because they're restricting investors doesn't mean that these people cannot sell to investors. What's going to end up happening is those who help get rewarded. It's just the way of nature. What you give out comes back to you tenfold. Now, we're not doing this as an investment. We're adding up, okay, we've done 5 good deeds. Times 5, we're going to get 50 deals from this thing. That's not the way this deal works. When we go in, guys, we're going to help these people in California through the process of helping them through the executive order N-4-25 and helping them in the rebuild efforts of getting permits, the process of getting permits, the process of getting lending again, and being able to go in and work with their insurance companies to go do so. Now, we're not going to take on the active working efforts of working with people's insurance companies because that's a whole undertaking in itself. We're just going to go in and help them structure the process of getting permits and helping them through the permitting process and exercising the N-4-25 executive order of expediting those permits and helping them with the cleanup efforts of cleaning up these properties. And we're going to learn the Malibu and the Pacific Palisades area like the back of our hand, and we're going to go out there and make an incredible effort to go out and help these guys out in California. Now, with that said, guys, the expectation is to rebuild California in 2 years, okay? There's a lot of opportunity out there. Business owners are not going to be able to rebuild. A lot of these business owners were tenants themselves, okay? So the point being is that there is a whole mess of different caveats within this that we haven't even talked about yet. Now, let's go back real quick because I want to talk about where these people are and what's going to happen with these insurance companies and what's going to happen with these commercial lenders and the commercial assets out there, okay? Now, we talked about what we're going to do. We talked about how we're going to do it, but let's talk about where all of this comes into fruition, what opportunities exist and lie out there, and what type of negative effects that this is going to have on business owners and homeowners in themselves, okay? So we know that 40% of 12,500 plus people that lost their homes have mortgages on these properties, okay? For those that don't have mortgages, God willing, they have at least some insurance to rebuild. Now, there may be some type of government or state funding that goes towards the rebuild, but there is no way that over there was over 1 billion worth of damages in just commercial assets alone. And there was another $15 billion in residential assets that were damaged during this fire, okay? So there's not gonna be over $16 billion that goes back in to these areas from government spending, okay? So we're gonna have to sit back and say, okay, where does the threshold lie where people just give up on their assets and give them back to the bank? For some of these people that have mortgages, do they continue paying those mortgages? Because next month, the mortgage is going to be due. The month after that, the mortgage is going to be due. The month after that, the mortgage is going to be due. For those people that have payment and interest insurance, they're still going to have to pay that as well. And for those people that have property taxes, their second set of property taxes are due April 15th, they're going to have to pay that. Those are 2024 taxes. Now, what I do recommend is that all these people do an outreach to start negotiating restructuring to their property taxes so that they can take advantage of lower property taxes while they rebuild, okay? So there is going to be an effort that these municipalities are going to have to take and relieve these homeowners of. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look at your property taxes, ladies and gentlemen, it has 2 values on there. One of them is the land value. The second one is the improvement value. And when your house gets burned down to nothing, the improvement value of your home is 0. There is no improvement value, so there is no value there. It's only the land and the land itself. So these values now have to be taken down to the assessed land value that was assessed in 2024, or within a 5% variance of that, okay? And that has to be disputed. Now, if you guys just simply Google Tax, you could just go in and you could just say tax dispute. Watch, let's Google it right now. If you go in and you put in companies that dispute property taxes in the state of California, okay? You just Google them. And SIB, there's Owenwell, there's Ryan Tax Firm, there's Paramount Property Tax Appeals, there's Property Tax Advisors, there's KGM Law Partners, there's California State Board of Equalization.gov that you can go to. You could do it yourself. The Tax Appeal Consultants, the California Property Tax Appeals Attorney, Rex Helverson and Associates. So there is just a list that's exponential that you can go in and dispute your property taxes, guys. You have to take them down to the land value itself. Now, there's a lot. Like everybody that's been affected, guys. There's 300,000 people that have been affected in California. If you were evicted out of your home, you're scared shitless because your house might be going might be going under flames, right? So 300,000 people and over 30 municipalities, guys, were affected by this fire, okay? Over 15,500 structures, of which 12,500 plus structures were residential structures, and everything else was some level of commercial structure that was burnt down. That's who was affected by these fires, okay? So that means that all of these people have to go in and renegotiate their property taxes, including the people that still have their structures, because their structures were affected and their property values are now affected because their value of their assets just went down until this rebuild. Because who wants to go in and own a $9 million home by acres and acres and acres and mileways of ashes? So even if you still have your structure, you should be renegotiating. For those of you guys that pick up properties in these areas, you need to go in and renegotiate and restructure the property taxes on these as well. Okay, now, these people that are losing that have lost their houses, have mortgages, they're gonna have to have some type of restructuring ability like they did during COVID, where they do some type of moratorium for these people. Whether they do that or not, I have no idea. When we talk about what Gavin Newsom does, which is probably the only good thing that this guy has done since he's been in office, these two executive orders that have been put in place are the two best things that I think this gentleman has done since he became governor of the state of California. Outside of that, I probably ante him up at a zero. Now, I'm not going to talk politics. I didn't even mean to go up that street. I'm sorry if you guys love him. My apologies to you. I just want to really talk about the facts, and that's the truth of it. Okay? Now, some type of help is going to have to get taken for the banks and the people that are affected by these fires. There has to be something that was done similar to what was done during the pandemic for these homeowners. Otherwise, these properties are all going to go in. That means 40%. That means that over 7,000 properties in these in the Pacific Palisades area are going to go into either foreclosure, short sale, or these people are going to have to bite off the mortgage payments themselves. Okay, so nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, California is under fire. We're going to fix it. For any of you guys that are in this area and that were directly affected by the loss of your home and want to implement the executive order N-4-25, again, email my office, email my office at info@jeromemaldonado.com, and we will help you guys through the process of the N-4-25 executive order of expediting your permits and helping you get your cleanup done on an individual basis. And we'll help you with the architecture efforts, at least refer you out to the architects outside of California. We're not going to inundate the California architects. We have a lot of them. We'll utilize them. But as these architects get overwhelmed with work, we'll take the work out of state. These out-of-state architects can facilitate business in the state of California. They just have to comply with the architecture bylaws and the building codes in the municipality that these permits are being pulled in. And with CAD, it's all done electronically and automatically, and then we'll position you guys to go out and win. Ladies and gentlemen, let's rebuild California. We're going to be out there this next week. If you happen to be in the area, if you've been affected by the fires, and you want to be interviewed about how you are taking down your asset and dealing with what's happening in California, reach out to me. DM me or reach out to my office. Let us know. We'd like to interview you. We're going to be out there this week. We'd like to talk to you. We're going to take some real life footage, and we're going to go out and make an executive effort to go out and help all of you in the Paradise Palisades area and all the areas in California that were affected. Ladies and gentlemen, Click and subscribe to our YouTube channel to follow more content just like this. Follow trends, investment, learning, education, multifamily, single family. Let's go out, let's get it, and let's crush 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Click subscribe, pound that thumbs up button, and comment below some of your comments, thoughts, and what you're doing and what your efforts and thoughts are about California. Love to hear from you. God bless you. Good night, and go out and compound your success.